let's get a little bit of a intro going, and then Jacob, are you here? I've got two screens going. I can't see if you're here yet. Bradley, can you ping him, please? All right. Today, as you guys know, as many of you know, we released Google Search this week. We've had Performance Max now since last October or so. And Search is now available. We have more things coming, so we will be talking about those later today. But the purpose of this meeting, Dwayne's putting his shirt on. Okay. The purpose of this meeting is to give you guys an overview first of how to look at Google search and how to look at pay-per-click campaigns in your agency. Because as an agency, we sold Google search pay-per-click PPC campaigns for many years. And it was nuanced. It was different. When I approached somebody on Google, it was a different approach than when we did it for Facebook. Oh, there's Jacob. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to go through, call it a checklist of nuances and things that you guys need to have an expectation of, like, what is the cost, your budget going to look like? How do you sell clients on this? What kind of questions will they ask you? What kind of expectations to give them? How long does it take to season a campaign? Things along those lines. Before we get started, in the chat, give me one in the chat if you have run a pay-per-click, a search campaign before today. If you're seasoned, I'd say you're pretty good. Okay. So Mark, Trevor, Daniel, Dwayne. So we've got a few here. Are you going to create a course inside Lead Gen U? There's already a course inside Lead Gen U with Google. Jacob, does it cover?
It's not search specific. It is Performance Max specific. So we'll be getting search in there.
Okay.
As time goes along.
Okay. And I will say, his Thursday classes are now going to be more geared towards search. And that way you guys can come in and ask the pro all the questions you need to about search. So I always say, let's go ahead and let's make sure we are recording. Yes, we're recording. We're recording to my computer. I always say, Facebook is the one I pitched. Google is the one I got asked about. Okay. And, that gives you as an agency a very unique opportunity.
I have an idea how to do it, but I just want to go on here and just get the specific.
I always led with Facebook regardless. Okay. I love the ability to fill a funnel really quick. And when you do your direct response marketing, right, when you do your lead gen campaigns right, you can do a killer job using Facebook. But that doesn't mean that as an agency, we were against or didn't like Google. So even though we led with Facebook ads with UpHex, we always knew that Google would be a part of it. But we wanted to do it in steps and wanted to kind of get a couple of things ironed out before we rolled out search. I am very well versed in Facebook personally. I know the platform, I know the strategy, I know how it works, I know all that kind of stuff. Jacob is really, and how many of you guys have been to Jacob's Thursday classes? The guy is like a ninja. Right? He knows the ad platform, Google ad platform, almost better than anybody I've ever met in my life. In fact, I would wager with real money that he's forgotten more about Google than most people learn about, Google. So the dude really knows that platform. He's an incredible resource. I would encourage you guys to go to his Thursday classes even after this. Okay. What time are Jacob's classes?
They're at 1 Central.
Okay.
Here is the page to register for at least getting reminders for the classes, for the Google class specifically.
Yeah. Okay. So here is when just the mentality of Google ads versus Facebook ads. With Facebook ads, I knew I could pretty much rely on a specific budget. Okay. I could say, hey, and my go-to based on our CPMs, we had those really dialed in, was $40 a day. That was, if you don't have $40 a day, you're not really a fit for our system. All right. Google's different. I knew that when somebody came to me and they were asking about Google, that was a really good thing. It was a good thing because the people who ask about Google have run Google campaigns before. All right. And they are also very familiar with what? With budgets. Now, the reason, have you guys know Chet Holmes? He had this thing called education-based marketing, and he had a thing he called the stadium pitch. All right. And according to Chet, and I think that he's absolutely right, at any given point in time, there's 3% of the market that is in the market for your services. But there's an available 10% that with the right messaging can be in your market, right? For me, I like Facebook because it opens you up to that 10% of the market. And if you have a creative strategy that works, you can fill the funnel all the time. But there is a basic reality about Google ads compared to Facebook ads. Facebook ads traffic is much colder. Okay. You're interrupting people based on, their behaviors or based on other things like that. Google traffic, these people, if you look at the top of the funnel, they've already entered the funnel. They're already going down the funnel. They are going to choose a provider, and it's up to you to put in a checklist together of how you can win that battle, because they're already in it. They're already going to choose somebody for their legal services, for their real estate, for their mortgage. When they go and search those keywords, they are engaged in the searching process. Okay. So it makes the sales and conversion mechanism of your business a lot more simple. The biggest challenge you're going to have, okay, if we're just really honest, we're really honest with ourselves. The biggest challenge that a customer has with your services is converting leads into sales. Okay. Converting leads into sales is a challenging thing. Now, when they figure it out, man, Facebook ads, you can blow it up. With Google, you don't have to be as strategic. You just have to be very, very, very responsive. Okay. Or in other words, the moment that you get a reach out from a search campaign, you got to go. And by the way, a person has to go. The missed call text back thing ain't going to work. You got to pick up the phone and say, hey, Brian, it looks like you're trying to get help with your landscaping. My name is Sam. I own ABC Landscaping. What questions do you have for me? That is the action that must happen. But business owners that you work with are already conditioned to know that, and they're okay with it. Why? Because they don't feel like they're selling anybody. The person reached out to them. They're either answering the phone or they're reaching back out on a person who, in their own mind, reached out to them. Okay. So the budgets are higher, the customers are more qualified, and taking people down the funnel is a bit easier. You're going to hear a lot less complaints about, oh, I'm not getting ROI, or, oh, I'm not whatever, so long as they're getting the inbound action, whether it's a phone call or a lead or whatever. Okay. Jacob, strategically, before we jump into the checklist of things that you and I were talking about earlier,
Yes.
is there anything that they should know from an agency standpoint?
So there's a few things you should know from an agency standpoint. So first and foremost, probably the biggest thing that I want to start off with when it comes to an agency standpoint is charge appropriately for Google, right? So Google is a whole other realm for a lot of different reasons. And it's not something that, one, you should be charging a cheap rate for, because even with UpHex, there is still work involved to properly manage a search campaign. Performance Max, you could do a lot more hands-off. If you're going the search route, there's a lot more maintenance that happens. Now, we're going to make that maintenance easier for you. We're going to be having a lot of really cool features they're going to be rolling out over the few weeks here. They're going to make optimizing search campaigns a breeze, but there's still going to be management of those campaigns. At a bare minimum, once a week management is going to be occurring. So make sure you're charging appropriately for the time that you are going to spend managing your client Google search campaigns. Then on top of that, search campaigns cost more, demand higher budgets, and demand a certain type of client to be successful. So if you have a cheap price tag for your search campaigns, you're going to get nothing but clients who really should have no business doing search campaigns. Just right out of the gate, just so everybody knows, the baseline, I don't care what industry you're in, absolute bare minimum you're spending as far as an ad budget on Google is going to be is $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's the floor. So if you've got clients who are hemming and hawing about $1,000 a month Facebook budget, Google's not even a twinkle in their eye, right? It is bare minimum floor is going to be $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and then you're just going up from there. So that's another reason why you also want to charge your prices appropriately, because you want to filter out the clients that have no business being on paid search campaigns, right? That's where you can look at other avenues to maybe expand from there. So that's two really big things that just from an agency standpoint, you've got to get your pricing down correctly. If I was to price using the UpHex model, so let's say, you know, and all that, if I was to price additionally adding in Google ads, minimum I would be tacking on would be at least $800 plus per month to whatever my current fee is. My goal would be, if I'm doing a Facebook plus Google combo, I want to be as close to $1,500 a month in a management fee as I can get. And it's not because I want to be greedy. It's because it's going to demand a lot more work out of you once you start getting into that search campaign, and you need to be compensated for either your time or your staff's time. Because as you scale up, I mean, there's going to be resources we're going to talk about towards the end here, like GTM Spark, that can make that easier for you. But search is a resource intensive campaign type, and you got to be compensated for that. So that would be the big thing I would put out right now.
There was one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we get into the checklist. The way search spends, the way Google spends compared to the way Facebook spends. Facebook is a lot less erratic, meaning if you say $40 a day, so long as it's able to spend your budget, like your ad account season, you're good to go. $40 a day should be pretty predictable, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise situation. What should they expect with Google budgets, Jacob?
So with Google budget, that's another great question. That in and of itself is a whole topic. So you come to my Thursday class, that is one of those big topics that we talk about every single Thursday class, is what should my budget be for this campaign?
Not budget B, the behavior of how
so the behavior of how Google works.
Budget.
So this is what trips up people.
The first time you guys start spending money through somebody's Google, like on Google, it's not going to be the same as Facebook. So I want you to be prepared for that. So talk about that, Jacob.
Yeah. So the big difference between Facebook and Google is Google looks at your daily budget completely different than Facebook. So Facebook looks at your daily budgets. They made a tweak to it recently where they look at it basically so Facebook looks at it at a daily spend, but they kind of look at it as a whole week window here. So Facebook will kind of fudge your budget maybe up or down a couple, 10, 15% kind of a deal. Google's a whole other ballgame. When you give Google a daily budget, what Google will actually do with your daily budget is convert that basically into a monthly budget. So when you say, hey, I'm going to spend $100 a day, what Google's going to do is going to say, all right, I'm going to take $100. I'm going to multiply that by 30. And that's how much your budget is that you just greenlit me for. Because with Google, not to get into the super technical weeds on this, but Google is an auction, and you are competing against other advertisers. And what the Google algorithm's goal is to make sure that you win as many auctions as possible that the platform feels you would get conversions for. And so what may end up happening on a day-to-day basis is you may get a bunch of searches for your keywords coming in on a Tuesday, but maybe through trends or whatever, Google knows, hey, on Thursdays and Fridays, nobody ever searches for your search terms, right? So Google will actually shove all of that budget from Thursday and Friday onto your Tuesday, so that way you can be in more auctions, and you'll see this big old spike in terms of your spend. And it will throw clients off, especially if they have low thresholds that they have to cross before Google hits their credit card. They may freak out where they're like, what the heck? It's only the second week of the month and you've already spent 80% of my budget, right? That's the way that Google works. It is going to look at your budget and it's going to stretch it out across a month, but it's going to load up days randomly where it feels like, or knows just because of the search volume, you're going to get more opportunities. So that one thing to definitely keep in mind with Google and that. The other thing that'll trip you up too, when you change your daily budget, you just reset Google's credit card. So when you go in there and you bump up Google's budget from $100 a day to $200 a day, from that point to the end of the month, it's now saying, sweet, I get to spend $200 a day, and it resets that number, right? So keep that in mind when you're doing those types of budget increases and playing with the Google budget. It can get people into trouble unless you get your clients pre-warned about stuff like that.
I would say that just a good expectation, like they're asking, this is, you know, I always say that with lack of information, people make up their own, and it's never in your benefit. Okay? And especially, right, mute crazy people, especially when you're talking about budget. So if you look on the screen, so I was the sales guy selling clients, Jacob was the technical person, and then Heather was the operational person. Heather, raise your hand. So Heather and I got to set the expectations, and there were times where Heather had to reset expectations. You want to be able to do that. So when I would get a customer, and they were like, hey, I want to do Google. I'm like, all right, cool. I love Google for all these great reasons. Let's talk about budget. Now, when you see it hit we're not going to go over in a 30-day period. We're not going to go over your budget, but you're going to see it hit your credit card in weird ways. So I need you to do one of two things. Number one, remember that it's going to do that. Number two, if you have a problem or concern, just reach out to the team. Don't freak out. It's totally normal for Google to do that. Where Facebook is a lot more like it just drips your budget as soon as you get to your threshold billing anyway. It's totally, that's not a problem. You don't want to lose a customer because they see a big ding on their credit card and they're like, oh my gosh, that's like my entire budget. It's like, slow your roll. We're good. Don't worry about it. So just understand that expectation should be managed before, otherwise you could lose a customer for no real reason. Let's talk about the nature of creating an account or a campaign, and then optimizing. One of the reasons that we just changed the entire game with search, when we would get a customer that wanted to do a PPC campaign, it would take Jacob on average 3 to 4 hours to set up a search campaign. Would you say that's about accurate, Jacob?
If not longer, depending upon said campaign. So
yeah. With what we've done, that can be done in just minutes, right? So that is incredible. Not only that, so your templates that you guys create, you can launch them in seconds, literally. If you're one of the people who said, yeah, I've run Google campaigns already, there will be, I don't know if it's released yet, but probably within the next week, Bradley, a feature to import existing Google campaigns. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You'll be able to click a button just like you can with Facebook, import that from the Google account. Bam, now it's a template in your UpHex account, and you can roll that thing out to any other Google ad account that you get connected to, which is awesome. So the front end of creation of your ad campaigns is going to be crazy, just amazing. But you still need to have an expectation of what back-end optimization looks like. And Jacob did talk about GTM Spark. We'll talk more about what GTM Spark can do to help you guys do that. If you're like, hey, we would really just like to outsource the management and optimization of these templates and campaigns, that is totally going to be available. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just the overall nature of optimizing a Google campaign. So from the dummy, that's me, I'm the dummy. From the dummy's perspective, what I noticed, and then Jacob, please opine upon what I shall say here, is the upfront management and optimization was labor intensive. Getting it dialed in, adjusting your negative keywords, adjusting different things that you need to do for that specific location did require work. But once it was set up, it just is like passive income. It would just go. Can you talk to that, Jacob? Can you provide clarity in addition to what I just stated? Make sure that
Yes, I will say that for search, it is never a set it and forget it. You are constantly going to be checking up on it, making adjustments and dialing it in. And where you can get into more of a set it and forget it situation is with things like a performance max situation.
Okay.
That's where you have more set and forget it mentality. But the downside to it is now you're basically turning over all of your ability to control the campaign to the Google algorithm, and then that gets into a whole other realm.
And for local businesses, since you mentioned Performance Max, when we get a search campaign pretty much dialed in, is it a good practice to then pivot over to a Performance Max?
You want to layer in a Performance Max. So this is where come to my Thursday class, guys, because there's a lot of nuance, and I don't want to get into all the nuance in here because Google does have a lot of nuance and a lot of best practice pieces, and there's a good, better, best, right? For all of us here just starting out, so just to kind of reset it a little bit here, Google is amazing for your agency. It's going to be amazing for your agency in a number of different ways. One, because you're changing, Sam kind of alluded to this, you're changing what type of campaign you're building. So Facebook, I always refer to Facebook as it's the billboard advertising of the internet, right? People are scrolling by, which is basically the freeway. You got to get their attention. You got to communicate to them in milliseconds, and then hopefully capture their attention so then you can progress the sale forward. Google is completely different. Google is intent-based marketing, which means they are actively searching for the solution that your client offers, which means the quality of the person is going to be much higher. The opportunities for sales is going to be much better. And you're going to be in an environment where you can really control outcomes finally, right? With Facebook, there's a lot of, I'm going to put this out there and hope that this works, right? With Google, you can have dialed in campaigns, especially, and this is where UpHex is going to be a really huge help for you guys, is those campaigns now become repeatable across all of these places, and you are going to get guaranteed results out of those campaigns because a Google search is a Google search is a Google search. It doesn't matter if they're searching in California, in Texas, in New York, in Florida, doesn't matter. When they're searching for, I need a chiropractor, the intent is the same no matter what place it's in. So the beauty of a search campaign is your foundational search campaign, to Sam's point, is in essence going to be, once it's built and it's successful, is going to be a set it and forget it. And you can just click that UpHex button and boom, it's going to pop into your next client's account and it's going to start rolling in new clients for them. Now, where a search campaign becomes a little bit more tricky, right? And that's where the Thursday class, we go over more of the nuanced stuff, is just because a search is a search is a search doesn't mean that the fringe keywords that you don't want your ads to show up for are going to be the same. And that's where the optimization and stuff comes into, is you're basically wanting to maximize your client's ad budget as much as possible. And so when somebody searches in California, maybe there's a local chiropractor competitor that you want to do a negative keyword for. And then there's a different one in New York, right? So that's where you're going to have more of the nuanced differences. But the actual foundational campaign, you're going to be able to replicate over and over and over and over, whether it's search, whether it's Performance Max, and go from there. It's just being able to maximize those campaigns and make sure that the account stays healthy is where we can get into to more fun stuff.
Okay. So there's questions coming in. Let's do a Q&A section here in just a minute. Let's go through best practices. So there are some things that if you're working with businesses, you want to check on before you start running a Google campaign. And Jacob will just kind of rattle off just things like, they need good reviews, blah, 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 like just a list of things. And then we'll open it to Q&A because I see some good questions coming in. But I want to have some structure to what we're doing here. We'll probably get a lot of these questions answered. And yes, it's being recorded. All right,
Sam, can you let me share real quick? Share my screen real fast?
Yeah.
Because before we do that, I do want to just jump in real quick into the UpHex platform now. Unless Bradley, it's been fixed. I keep getting an application error.
It's been fixed.
It's been fixed. Okay, so I've got staging up, but I just want to, so let me do this then. Let me load up our actual application then real fast. Oh, look, it's been fixed. Okay. All right, let me show you guys this real quick. So this is what's really cool about when you're working with UpHex. So one of the things when we were building the UpHex search side of things, so we've had Performance Max now for a little bit, and we wanted to make it to where if you are having Performance Max or whatever, we didn't want you to have to do a whole new type of campaign inside of here. So the template inside of UpHex is going to be exactly the same, guys. This is one of the really cool parts about the Google thing, is all of this setup that you're already used to with Performance Max campaigns, where you're going to give it the name, the category. This down here, I know this confuses people. This is for a future update that's going to be really cool called Easy Pages. Right now, you can put stuff in there, it does nothing. So don't get confused by that line. But eventually, that's going to be something for Easy Pages, right? You'll be able to put your headlines, your long headlines, your descriptions. You'll be able to put in all that ad media in here. You'll be able to build those audience signals. There's been one change that you guys will notice in terms of the templates that has been added for search campaigns. And that is this right here, this negative keywords, okay? Negative keywords are extremely important with search campaigns. And the beauty of what we have here is you're going to be able to templatize this. So again, talking about when you can have that base campaign, if you've got negative keywords that are going to apply for every single client, you pop those into the template. Those are going to get automatically applied to every single client. And Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the updates that's going to be coming soon is you'll be able to also, when you put in new keywords, new headlines, new negative keywords, those are going to push out to people who are already running those campaigns. So you don't have to then go and manually log into all of your individual clients' accounts. All those changes are going to get pushed out, correct?
In development.
Sweet. So again, it's going to make, especially for those of you who are running, because I know back when we were running, so 25th West was our agency before PatientStream. That's what we called it. So when we were running 30, 40 Google campaigns, my goodness, the amount of time that gets spent swapping between accounts and duplicating negative key, just all this crap will literally be, I go into the template, I add the negative keyword in, I click save template, and everybody gets it. I don't have to go into 20 different accounts. It's all going to happen instantaneously. So now where the difference is going to lie, so that's the one change where you'll be able to add negative keywords. Come to the Thursday class, we're going to go more in depth on how you actually get those negative keywords. But then the other difference that you'll notice when you are doing a Google campaign is when you launch a campaign. So when you're launching a campaign, and we'll just do that same template that we just looked at here. So when you're launching a campaign, you're going to notice now you have search and PMax. All right. So when search right now is the default first option, you're going to give the campaign a name, you're going to give it a daily budget. You're going to put in that website landing page in there. You're going to say where you want it to go. Pretty straightforward. Performance Max has some additional questions that you can then fill in there. So if you want to do video ads and things like that with Performance Max, but this is the only change, right? We really kept it to where in the back end, the UpHex platform is popping in a lot of the differences in the settings and actually building this search campaign out the right way that it needs to as far as settings and best practices and all that kind of stuff are concerned. So all you really need to do is make one template for Google, and then your clients can just literally swap between which one do they want. If they have never run Google Ads before and there's no conversions on their campaign or on their Google Ad account, you want them to run a search campaign first. You want to start getting conversion data into that Google Ad account. We'll explain more why on that later. If they've already got conversions going, tell them, hey, do a PMax, right? For one, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. But then two, they're going to be able to expand the inventory that they can actually gain access to as far as Google is concerned. But we really worked hard to keep this as simple as possible for you. Sam, did you have anything you wanted to share on this before I jump into some of those best practices?
No, and I will just say, one of we've wanted to do Google for a long time, but we knew it was going to be a bear, right? And it is the hardest thing to do in doing what we're trying to do here is make complex things as simple and streamlined as possible. So a lot of the templates are already baked in with all of the best practices. Again, we've been media buyers for 10 years. We know how it needs to be done, and especially for local lead generation. So this thing is tailor-made to do that. And we've kind of teased other things coming that will make it even easier. So it's going to get to the point where you guys are going to be like, click, and then all of these things you have across all of your assets. And then it's going to be crazy. Like it's already crazy, but it's kind of scary crazy actually. But yeah, let's go ahead and I have nothing else other than you guys, how crazy is this? Is it just me that this is crazy? I mean, give me a 1 in the chat because all you guys are just like sitting there. There's a half a dozen people who've got their cameras on, so I can see them. But everybody else, must be naked. You must be doing something illegal. I don't know. Give me a 1 in the chat. Let me know how freaking psyched you guys are. There we go. Thank you, John, my man.
Jacob, you may have mentioned this earlier, but how long did it used to take you to create a Google search campaign?
See, Bradley just showed up. Bradley just showed up. We already talked about that, Bradley.
So it would be anywhere from 3 to 5 hours in the creation. And then in the management side of things, easily 2 hours per campaign on a weekly. So 2 hours a week on each campaign.
Bro, it was intense. And that's why when we were talking about bringing in Google, I'm like, there's no way. We'll never be able to do it. No, there's no way. And we will talk about easy pages here in just a minute. The big impediment, the big thing that kept us from doing this was tracking and attribution, only because how much of the setup was tracking and attribution?
A good chunk of it.
So that is something that, again, when it was like, whatever you guys believe in came down, like hit us in the brain. We're like, oh, we could do that. So we'll talk about that next. Go ahead, Jacob.
All right, so a couple of requirements. So this is what just going to give you guys a little roadmap of what I'm going to quickly go over. I'm going to just go over the basics. If you want the in-depth stuff, come to the Thursday class. This is where all the nuances are going to come in and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to do all the top level best practices so you guys can be aware of this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over what does your client need before you even consider doing a Google campaign, right? Then we're going to talk about landing pages. And then we're going to be talking about actual in Google ad platform stuff that you need to do. Okay. So these are the 3 check boxes that you want to have before you sign on the dotted line saying, yes, Mr. Client, I'm going to take, $1,500 a month for running your Google ads and going forward from there. And again, guys, please charge appropriately for Google. This isn't necessarily about being greedy. This is about getting paid for the time that you're going to be spending on this. All right. So the first and most, or not the most, but one of the most important things you got to check for is Google reviews. So here's the thing. I'm sure it's not a shock to all of you guys, but when you have a Google ad, right, these top 3, actually top 4 search results are the Google ad placements. You also have them down here at the bottom. These are also Google ad placements. Okay. So you've got these search results. You are not the only person when you are advertising on a keyword that is going to show up with that search result. So you've got to make sure that your client's presence online is better than the competitors. One of the easiest ways to make sure that happens is make sure they have Google reviews. So pull up your client's Google My Business page, pull up the competitors around them and see where do they stack, right? When you've got, and not that this Cairo, Idaho chiropractic is bad. I mean, 57 5-star reviews is not bad. But when you've got the competition with 523 5-star reviews, 333 out of 4.9, right? If I'm looking for a chiropractor, if I just moved to the area, if I'm looking for a chiropractor for the first time, which one am I going to go to? I'm going to go to the one with 523 5-star reviews, right? Like, and the thing is on a Google search, even though you may be here, so's this guy, right?
By the way, that was our customer, just saying.
Yes, that would be a patient stream user. But anyways, so actually 25th West person. But anyways, so you want to make sure that that box is checked because your competitor is literally a click away, right? In that same vein, when we talk about landing pages here in just a second, your experience and your ability to get in contact with the business needs to be as easy as possible. So again, if we're looking at this now, because it's on a desktop, there's a couple of pieces that aren't showing. So for instance, if I was on a mobile phone, I'm sure these people would have a button where I could call immediately. Maybe I would have a link to be able to pull them up on Google Maps. Like there's things depending upon which device you're on, Google will automatically toss in there for you. But you want to make sure that those features are readily available. The easier it is for your client to get in, or for the lead to get in touch with your client, the better. This is then the other really big pre-box to check, which is your clients have to understand when a Google lead calls, there's nothing else in the office that matters. The only thing that matters is that Google lead that calls, because your competitor is literally the next line down, right? So where we would run into this a lot when we were working with our chiropractic clients, where the front desk just wouldn't pick up the phone, and they'd call the lead back 2 hours later. The lead had already gotten scheduled with another person, right? So they just spent money on that click. They just spent money trying to get this person, that because the front desk was busy doing something else, they went to another place. And this goes back to with what Sam said, missed call text back doesn't matter, right? What do you, I'm sorry, I'm gonna charge these people money, but this is what I do. I'm sure everybody does a very similar thing. When I'm researching something, what do? I click on all of these, and then I start tabbing through. I go, oh, okay, all right. And then I'll narrow it down to the 2 or 3, and then I will actually start making decisions, right? That's what people do standard on Google. So they need to be on the draw with this kind of stuff, right? In that same vein, especially for local businesses, phone calls are still king, right? We don't want to, unless we're doing things like get a quote for a backyard redesign or something. You want to be able to get people on the phone, right? Phone calls are still going to be king. So we want to make sure that that's happening. All right.
Can I interrupt here real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
For all of you people looking for ways to get clients, do you see something very obvious here? What is the number one signal that somebody is a buyer? What is the number one signal that they are a buyer? They have already bought. So LP Cairo-Idaho, they've already bought. Gonstead-Idaho, they've already bought. These people are all buyers, which is 90% of the game. What else is on here that is an obvious thing? FOMO. You think if I called Cairo, Idaho and said, hey, and maybe I did one of my short Loom videos that I used to do this. Say, hey, Dr. whoever at Cairo, Idaho, you're losing probably half, if not more, of your business on your ads to Highland Chiropractic. I'd like to show you how you can beat them. I'm specific because I'm talking about Highland Chiropractic. I'm talking about waste that they already have. And then my value proposition when I go to them is, hey, here's what we're going to do. Right now, you're losing this much money. And I could give them, Jacob had some kind of, I think we used like SEMrush or something back in the day. Mm-hmm. And we had an equation. And I could say, you're losing this much business. You're paying this much for ads. Over the next 6 months, I can flip that. The question is do you want to be paying, or if you're planning on being in business 6 months from now, are you still going to want to be paying what you're paying right now? Or would you like to be paying less and getting more customers and then in the long haul beat out Highland Chiropractic? What would you like to do? There are obvious, that's the beauty about Google, is you identify all of your buyers. Scroll down the page, please. And those top 3 are the hard ones. But these bottom 3, I'll keep going to more sponsored posts. The people that are down the page, I'm like, you guys are, and I do a video, you're down the page. You want to know why you're down the page? What if I could get you up the page? How many more clicks do you think you would get? Would you get double? I don't know. How much are you spending? You're pretty much throwing that in the, by the way, these are all real. Everything I just said, there's no hyperbole to it. It is statement of fact. And so when you can lay out the logic there and then say, hey, by the way, we have a completely different approach to doing this and we can get you in and it'll probably cost you less, not a little, a lot. So just for all of you guys looking at ways to get clients, I did this all the time. I just sit here, and you could have a VA go through and do this if you wanted to. I just sit here and get my spreadsheet, be like, okay, spinal decompression, marine carp, that guy, write down his name, put his phone number. I'd make myself a list, and then I'd shoot my videos, and then I would go on. If I did 20 of those a day, I was getting money for the honeys. All right, go ahead, Jacob. Next. So reviews and the way you show up. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So the reviews is, so the next big checkbox that you want to make sure that is taken care of is the landing page. Now, is Christy on here? Because if Christy's on here, she already knows where I'm going with this. I don't see Christy. Oh, well. So your landing page is absolutely everything with a Google campaign, right? So this isn't like with Facebook where you got a lead gen form and pop, there it goes, and it's going to pre-populate. Landing pages need to tell the story. Okay. So going back to our, well, I need to make this hide. Hold on here. Hide the floating meeting controls. Thank you. So I can actually see. So let's go back to just whatever couple. There's another $8 for them. Let's go back to these landing pages, right? This landing page is horrific for so many reasons, right? So when your clients, and this is one of the things that you'll run into with clients and things like that, they may say, oh, just send it to my homepage. You may even think I'll just send it to their homepage or whatever. Do not do that at all costs. Just don't, right? This is word salad, garbly goop, way too much crap, horrific landing page, right? Everything about this page is the epitome of what not to do, okay? This page is a whole heck of a lot better, and I'll explain why here in just a second. This page does really well with this and is better, but still has some problems with it, okay? And I'll explain all that here in just a second, but let's go to our gold standard first. So this is Halo Caller. If you want to have a landing page design where you could replicate and then just wipe the floor with competition, Halo Caller is the landing page design that you want to try to replicate, right? So what they do really well on a couple of different things with this landing page. One, it's very visual in the storytelling. So when you're in research mode, people, especially when it comes to Google search for local businesses, people are not going to read all of this crap. No. They're just not, right? What they're, especially when they are tabbing between multiple choices, they're not going to go through all of this. They're not going to, what is the 3 pill? No one cares. Which, by the way, they have more than 3. So, like this is the type of stuff that people just glance right on over, right? So visual storytelling is super important. I can tell, right? So just this one right here, no more digging in-ground fences, create invisible dog fence with the tap of your finger. I know everything I need to know about that product right there. Boom, done. I can see it. It's got the demonstration right here. It's got a super short, simple, and then it's got an easy call to action, right? The success keeps going in this very visual, right? You'll see how they're using what's called white space very effectively. These are design cues that you will hear people, and they are incorrect on this. You'll hear people, oh, it doesn't matter. It matters for Google search. For Facebook, less so. For Google search, these type of things matter, right? How are you utilizing white space? How big are your sentences? It's got to be quick and glanceable. It's got to be also visual. It's got to tell the story with being able to move through a page this fast, right? You'll notice everything that they're doing, they've got their calls to action very nicely placed, but everything that they're doing, they're using colors appropriately. They're using images appropriately. They're using things where I can just glance at it and I know what it's talking about, right? This is a great example of a landing page. So halocaller.com, if you guys are looking for inspiration, would be the one that I would go to for how you would want to do it. My only complaint about halocaller.com, now I'm just going to their website. When you actually click on their ad, they don't do this. So I'll give them that. But you don't want this menu up here at all when you're doing landing pages. You just want the logo, you want the call to action button, and call it good. You'll notice that this landing page does exactly that. They don't have anything up here at the top. It's just their address, their logo, their phone number, and they keep you pretty well engaged. And as far as the top of the website is concerned, and this is also really done pretty well down here in terms of an easy to do form. But where they then fall apart is less visuals. There's a lot more text. Again, you don't need this much text, right? What you just need to communicate things. The other big problem, and this is more obvious in this person's website, is too many services are being offered, right? So one of the beauties of a Google search campaign is you know the search term that people are typing in. So you don't need to send them to a page if they're typing in, I have back pain. You don't need to send them to a page that talks about neck pain or laser therapy or sciatica. That's not their problem. Their problem is back pain, right? So you can actually get really specific with what the search terms are for, right? And that's really, really key when it comes to Google. The easiest way to get somebody to bounce is the technical term. The easiest way to get them to bounce is by introducing complexity and not being congruent with the search term. If that is not a straight line between search term to landing page, they're going somewhere else, right? People don't have the patience to do all this. The other big thing that you want to make sure with your pages, they need to be mobile ready, right? So again, we look at our gold standard on a mobile device. It still keeps all of these things really well placed, really easy to scroll through, really visual, right? We swap over to somebody like this. I bet you anything. I mean, look at how much wasted space they have on their mobile version, right? There's so much real estate that very first screen capture that they're losing out on. So you want to make sure that your landing pages are taken care of, okay? The last piece, the last box that you want to check, I've got a little picture here that I had made up. If you didn't track it, nothing happened. So you've got to make sure that you're tracking everything. And one of the easiest mistakes that I see people make is this right here, the phone number. Your Google campaign should have its own dedicated tracking phone number, that the only way people are getting that phone number is because they came from a Google ad. People will pick up, you know, they'll come to this website, they'll scroll through it, they won't fill out the form, they'll dial this phone number. Well, how are you going to track that that person came from a Google ad? You need to have a way to track that. You need to have a way to report back to your client, this person came from a Google ad. So make sure that you are tracking everything. Now, there's tracking codes. I'm not going to go into details on that because tracking codes themselves is a whole other topic, and we're going to go over that on a Thursday class. But you also need to make sure that your tracking codes are set up as well. But as far as a pre-check box, you need to make sure that the Go High Level account or whatever tool you're using as your CRM is set up to track everything. You're tracking phone calls, you're tracking form fills, you're tracking, you know, when people, one of the cool things that you can actually do with Go High Level is you can see who's clicked from an ad to get directions on Google Maps, right? You can track those things. Make sure all of those are in place because people come to your clients on a Google search in a variety of ways. It's not like Facebook where they're basically just going to come from a form fill, right? They can come from a lot of different directions, and you got to be able to tell your client, hey, Mr. Client, yes, you got 10 form fills this month from the Google ads, but you also got, and Sam knows we would do this all the time, but you also got 30 phone calls, and you also got 20 people who just went directly to your location because of your Google ads, right? So yes, you did not get all of the form fills we thought, but you got all these other things as well that are sales. And then if you're tracking, that's when you can also have the conversation of, oh, by the way, you got those 30 phone calls and your front desk only answered 5 of them. What are you going to do about that, right? How are you going to fix that? So anything real quick on that before I then move into the technical sides of things, Sam?
No, just expectations are everything. Who wants another client getting nugget? You guys want a client getting nugget? Anybody want one? Anybody want a client getting nugget? Jacob, can you go into the open a tab and put in the search Google review cards?
Cards?
Cards. That's right. Cards.
Okay.
How cool would it be to have a VA put together a list of 100 people whose reviews fell under the category that I said earlier? Okay. I noticed, hey, I noticed you have less reviews in the competition, whatever. And then you sent physical mail of a card that they could scan and get reviews, what would happen? And get reviews. What would happen? What do you think would happen if you led with that kind of value? Do you think they would pick up the phone when you said, hey, I just wanted to make sure you got the gift I sent you? We hate seeing people lose money on their Google ads, especially when we're in the business of making them a lot of money by doing it right. I'd love to set up a time to talk with you. How many of you would spend $1,000 to get 10 pre-qualified appointments like this? I mean, 10 people who are already spending money on ads, 10 people who are like blown away that you led with something really cool. And maybe you had a QR code that they scanned and it's like, hey, I want to show you a script you can use to get more reviews than anybody else. Can I tell you something right now? There's a lot of people in the high level community and in digital marketing who break Google's terms and their policies and procedures on how to actually get reviews, and they break Google gating policies. You do that and Google catches on. You want to know how screwed you are? Jacob, how screwed are they if they lose that?
That's so the business will be banned from Google search.
Do you know that Jacob would never let me do what a lot of these people are talking about doing in their automated reviews? He would never let me do it. I'm the dumb guy. I'm like, bro, everybody else is doing it. Why can't we just do it? He's like, Sam, if we get caught if they get caught one time, they'll lose their listing, they'll lose their reviews, their business will be done. Okay. All right. Listen, I honestly know that that's the right thing to do, but everybody's saying that they can do this. So what did we do? We just trained them on, by the way, like when people would leave, hey, we had a review script. Have you had a good experience here? That's awesome. We love working with people just like you. So we would love it either if you have a referral, or maybe you would even be willing to leave us a review. How's that sound? Oh, I'd love to leave you a review. Cool. Just scan this real quick. Or cool. Yeah, here's my thing. Scan this. If you get, and they would run competitions, right? And they'd be like, hey, if you can get 10 reviews this week from real customers, from real people at our clinic, we'll give you $100. That is $100 well spent. And that is, by the way, how that was meant to happen. You were not meant to like automate and be like, okay, let's see how many we could do. And I'm not saying that this is bad, but you cannot gate those reviews. If you gate reviews, you are a host. This is a really ethical, clean, awesome, value-facing thing that you guys can do for very little money. And man, turn your sales calls more into like conversations that just, they're super grateful for you, right? So there's a little sales nugget since, again, hey, been there, done that. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Cool. All right. So real quick, I'm going to do one more quick thing and we're going to get to the questions. I know we're coming up on the hour mark, so I'm sure some people are going to need to bounce. So I know the other big question that people have, especially when you're going to be sitting down with a client and trying to figure out, all right, how much money are we going to spend, right? What does my ad budget need to be? So here's the easiest way to do it. You guys if you don't have one already, just get a Google Ads account. You can get them for free. What I would recommend, the type of Google Ads account that you will actually create, since you are going to be hopefully managing other people's Google Ads account, is what's called a Google MCC account. All right, so all you have to do is Google it, Google MCC. It's going to be the very first result here, manage clients and campaigns with manager accounts. This will allow you to get your clients' accounts tied into it and makes it really easy, okay? But just pick up a Google MCC account. Once you're in there, you're going to go to Tools, you're going to go to Planning, and you're going to go to Keyword Planner, and you're going to be taken to a screen that looks like this. This is where you're going to be able to put in some of those search terms, so then you can figure out what your budget needs to be, okay? So since we're doing chiropractors, let's just keep going with that. We're going to go chiropractor near me, and I'm just going to do that one keyword, right? It's the most obvious, it's the one that we want, right? And it's then going to give you, in this case, it's looking at the United States as a whole. Depending upon the number of searches that you have, will determine whether or not you're going to shrink this down. I've got over 800,000 searches a month. I can shrink this down. The smallest you want to go, though, is to a state level, with the only exceptions being some of the really big states like California and Texas. then you can maybe get down to a metro area like San Francisco, LA, or Dallas or something. So that way you can get still a large chunk, but you don't want to get super granular right here, because the way that the Google prediction tool and all this will work, it's going to give you wrong numbers. It's much better to go to a bigger level and then base your pricing based off of that, and then be pleasantly surprised if your area happens to be cheaper than it is to underfund a Google campaign. So in this case, I've got over 800,000. I could probably come in here. I could change this. Instead of doing the United States as a whole, I can go ahead and say Idaho specifically. So then that way I can kind of shrink it down a little bit more and get a little bit more granular in terms of what the ad spend should be. So I've got chiropractor near me. I've got these really great keywords that I can look at here. I don't even know what that is.
Spanish, bro. Quiropráctico. Come on, man.
Well, there you go. See, I don't speak Spanish. So, but this is where you're going to figure out what your daily ad budget needs to be. You're given two numbers: top of page bid low range, top of page bid high range. Okay. The top of page bid low range means you're going to be in that top 3 block of campaigns, but when there's no competition and at the time of day that there's hardly anybody searching, right? That's how much it's going to cost per click. And that's, I don't think we actually mentioned this. Google bills on a cost per click basis. You are not charged until someone actually clicks on your ad, right? So it's not like Facebook where they charge you by impression. You only get charged when someone actually clicks your ad. Your top of page bid high range is you're going to be in that top 3 block with a lot of competition at peak times of searching. Okay. You want to base your budget off of the top of page bid high range. Okay. Don't do it on the low range. You want to base your budget off of the high range. At a bare minimum, you want to take that number and you want to multiply it by 3. That's going to give you your absolute bare minimum budget. So in this case, the absolute bare minimum daily budget that you're going to be spending for that keyword is going to be $50 a day. Okay. So that's your floor. That's for one keyword. Let's say you're going to be putting in 2 or 3 keywords with a lot of volume to them as part of your base foundational campaign. Well, then you're going to add those numbers in for those keywords as well, right? So with this campaign here, so let's say we've got that one here. The Spanish version is also, there's another $50 a day. So now they're up to $100 a day. And then let's say we also got this one, which was $9 a day, which is another $27. So they're up to $127 a day, becomes their daily budget, right? So that's how you're going to figure it out. The reason why you want to give Google a big daily budget, one, like we talked about, they have the variations in their monthly ad spend. But then 2, you're only charged when someone clicks your ad. So if you get impressions, but nobody's clicking, it's not costing your client anything. You want to make sure you have what I call a fully funded Google ad account in order for a Google ad campaign. So that way you do not miss out on searches. One of the things that we're going to get down the road as far as a metric that you're going to start seeing inside of UpHex is something called search impression share. Your Google campaigns are going to live and die by that metric. The only way that you're going to make sure that that metric is the number that you want it to be, which, by the way, you want that number to be as close to 100% as possible. 80% is where most people will land, between 80 and 85, but as close to 100 as you can get. The only way you're going to get there is by having a fully funded Google ad campaign. Okay, so there's the quick and dirty way of doing it. You can get way more detailed into what the exact budget needs to be. But for your starting budget, what I would do is you take, oh, and I didn't mention this, your Google campaigns should not have more than 5 keywords in it. 3 to 5 keywords and you're done, right? Over time, you may add more, but especially at the beginning, 3 to 5 and you're done. If you can have 1 or 2 and it just makes that campaign rock, all the better, right? Back in the day, it used to be load up Google with as many keywords and phrase match, exact match, and SCAG and all those, all those acronyms, right? Now, just give it 3 to 5 and start managing it and start expanding from there.
That actually makes things really easy. About it.
Any questions on, or I guess I'm used to just saying that. We have a ton of questions. Sam, you've been keeping track of all those. But Sam, do you have any questions about the budget before we jump into everyone else's questions?
No, kind of. I want to do a couple takeaways real quick, you guys, because we've covered a lot of ground so far. The number one thing is go to Jacob's classes on Thursdays. Okay. And Jacob, I would encourage you probably over the next several weeks is to just cover one topic at a time, like cover just budget, just whatever. So that's number one. Number two is we talked about GTM Spark. Do you guys know who GTM Spark is? I think for those of you who don't know GTM Spark, we have, there is a company called GTM Spark that UpHex has an equity position in, but they are headed by Alex Spicer. And effectively, thank you for there's the link to them. They will help you as a third-party contractor optimize and manage the Google templates as well. You can reach out to them if you're like, hey, this feels a little overwhelming on the technical side. Cool. Hire GTM Spark and they'll help you dial it in, help you manage those campaigns. So that's a service. The next thing is we have a, I'm not going to say the release date. They don't let me do that anymore. But we talked a while back about a product that we have coming called Easy Pages. All right. I'm not going to say when it's coming, but it is coming. And we have built most of it. We have tested it once again, to make complex things simple. That is the UpHex ethos. That is our goal. And that is coming. That'll make it so what was the dog site you sent?
Halo Caller.
So the Halo Caller landing pages will appear for you, effectively pre-built, ready to go. This is not going to be like a landing page builder like you would get in High Level or in ClickFunnels or something like that. Think of it more like a proven lead form template, meaning all of the things that you need to have a high converting landing page will already be built. And we're going to ask you for minimum things. The same reason, and you guys notice like on the launch page, now some of you more technical people don't like this, but I promise you the dumb people and your customers, so me and then your customers, they love this. So you know at the bottom of the launch screen, how there's that little blue thing that says additional options. Do you want to know why that's hidden? It's because most of you will mess up a perfectly good campaign by messing with the baked in best practices of a template. So we make it so you have to know the platform well enough to go change those things. I don't want my customers changing anything. They're stupid. Okay, I didn't mean that. I kind of meant it because doctors don't know what they're doing and they hear something at a conference. They're like, well, my friend said you could blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do this. No, you're not. It's Pareto's principle. We got a proven creative. Boom, that works. The same thing will go for Easy Pages. So for those of you who want a plug and play Google search campaign, landing page and all, tracking and attribution and all, you're going to give Jacob a digital kiss on the forehead, maybe his mouth. It depends on consent, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to blow your digital brain balls and you'll be super excited about it. So Easy Pages is in the works and it's coming. I feel like I had one other thing, but I don't remember it now. So we will go to Q&A. There will be a recording of this. We will push it out. We'll do our best to maybe timestamp it. I don't know. Heather, can we timestamp this? Have you been maybe taking notes as we've been going? I didn't ask her to do that. That's my bad. All right. So let's go back. And Jacob, I should have been. Does anybody have a question and they need to leave? You can raise your digital hand and I will call on you. There's a lot of questions here. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm going through it.
I don't know if we answered these already. Do you guys have landing page templates? They're coming. Missed the first 30 minutes. Well, yes. Too many distractions. Yes, that was a landing page. Terrible landing page. My client has a landing page, has a website that is a disaster. Well, this is a good reason to give them a better one. It won't be connected to domain, but live. Okay. Let's see here. Well, Google Chrome extension puts the number to the left of your search results back in the chiropractor near me thinking, Jacob.
Search Atlas.
Search Atlas. There you go. Search Atlas is actually pretty dope. So would you limit those to 3 keywords? I think the beauty about these Google templates and the way we'll be doing it, guys, is you don't need, and these are local businesses too. So don't overcomplicate this. don't get these big, robust templates. Get the most efficient. This is Pareto's principle. It's 80-20. Get the most efficient templates that work. If you add more keywords to a template, will that hurt the campaign for new clients?
Yes.
So will there be an option to update the template, but not push out those things then? Or
So what you want to do is, honestly, you really shouldn't have a campaign that has, so the structure of a Google campaign, you have a campaign, you have ad groups, and then you got the ads. Your keyword's going to be set at the ad group level. So what you would do, and Bradley, I know this is, we've talked about this, I don't know where this is in the roadmap about being able to actually do ad groups. So what you would do in the best practices way is, if let's say you had more keywords you were going to add, you would add those keywords to a new ad group, right? And here's the thing, you don't need to, so this is people still hold this over from Google even just a year and a half ago. It's changed quite a bit just in the last like year and a half, where you think you have to throw in all of the variations of keywords. Don't have to do that, right? So chiropractor near me, if I just did that, if I did chiropractor near me, it's going to automatically know chiropractor near me, Boise, chiropractor near me misspelled, like those 50 different ways that you can ask that question. Google already has that. So you don't need to put in all those other different types of variations. You just need chiropractor near me, and that's it, right? So when you're going to add in new types of keywords, you're going to put those in an ad group, but they are in a new ad group, but those keywords are unique keywords, right? So instead of chiropractor near me, maybe it's now spinal decompression, right? That would go into its own ad group with its own ads, with it, you know, with its own keywords that relate to it. And that's how you would separate it. Then what you would do for a new client is you would just pause the ad groups, all those extra ad groups, and you'd leave the one on that's your base ad group until they get all their stuff going. And then you start turning them on as you go along, right? Or how, you know, whatever your setup happens to be with that template. Because again, the metric that your campaigns, besides conversions, I guess there's really a metric that your campaign lives or dies on, it's conversions, right? We all want the conversion. But the next metric that your campaigns live or die on is search impression share. That number needs to be as high as possible. And if you start splitting your client's budget between 3-4 ad groups and 20 keywords and, oh, the decompression over here and chiropractor near me over here, right? You're splitting all this up, you're going to collapse that search impression share, and it's going to end up being detrimental to your campaign. So you want to make sure that when you're building out these types of things, that you do it the right way. Personally, if it was me in those situations, just spin it up as its own campaign, right? So if you've got something completely unique, so you've got chiropractor near me, so this is your general chiropractic one, and then you're going to do decompression, that's its own campaign with its own ad budget, right? So that way you can manage it a little bit easier, and you can also control those costs a little bit better, and you can set better expectations with your client.
Or in other words, just keep your templates simple. How about that?
There is that. There are times though where you will want to expand it out. So but just keep in mind, every keyword, right? That math that we just did, right? Every keyword you're going to add in, you got to do the math for it now. How much more does your daily budget need to go up by, right? Can your client afford another $50 to their daily budget by adding in that keyword?
Yeah, I can see a situation where you have your nuanced templates, and you have, I mean, the same way we do with like Facebook. Like I would say, if somebody was like, hey, I want to do a spinal decompression, I'd be like, okay, boom, go into template metrics, click search. I'd be like, oh, on average, we're getting leads in this between $20 to $30. So your daily budget, I can see something along those lines being your, you know, an easy way to do that. Will there be a concise tutorial on how to set up your first Google AdWords campaign in Lead Gen U? Yes. How quickly should a small local client expect to see calls coming in from a search campaign, just trying to manage expectations? That's a great question.
The moment that the search campaign is approved and is live on Google, you should start seeing calls rolling in. Again, because it's intent-based marketing, if somebody's searching for it, and if you set the campaign up properly, you're going to show up, hopefully in one of the top 3 results. So they should be seeing phone calls and clicks pretty rapidly.
See, Sal's trying to get me to break the rule. He wants me to say when the release is coming. Sal, nice try, sucker. Okay. Would you recommend starting new search campaigns in UpHex right now and keep the existing ones I currently have running?
Yeah. Oh, I will go over this more in detail on the Thursday class, but Google does conversion tracking. So Google does a lot of things. Granted, I'm biased. I've done Google for a lot of years. I've been doing running Google ads since I was 14. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Google does conversion tracking so much better than Facebook does. One of the things that they do is they actually do what are called portfolios with their conversion campaigns. So you'll create a bunch of different conversion actions and you'll actually load them into a portfolio. What that means is all of those conversions that are inside that portfolio get shared across all campaigns inside of that account that
dope.
use that same portfolio. So what that means is if you've already got a Google campaign running and you're going to launch a new campaign, tie it into that already existing portfolio, because now the Google algorithm is going to go and basically pull all of the previous knowledge it already has about your converting audience and immediately apply it to whatever new campaign, be it a PMAX, a search, a YouTube, whatever it is. If you're using the same conversion portfolio, all of that learning goes into that new campaign.
In Facebook, we had this concept of like a master pixel. Have you guys heard master pixel? Like basically converting all of the conversions onto one tracking pixel and then having that pixel be used by all these other locations. It's the same concept, but it actually works. Okay.
Which goes into another quick little sales thing. I know Bradley is working on this as well. Bradley is the guy in charge of the development team. So if you're ever like, why do we not have this feature? Just message Bradley because he's
bug him.
So,
tag him in the group. Don't tag me, tag Bradley.
So
the tracking would be great for rebilling.
Well, that's what I was about to bring out. So rebilling is also coming to Google. So we've got it for Facebook. It's going into Google. And rebilling is a magical experience when you can have 10, 15 clients, all in the same one Google ad account. And now all of that conversion data is dumping into one portfolio. Yeah. The amount of just magic you're going to be able to perform for your clients. You literally will be able to launch a campaign and know without a shadow of a doubt it is going to get beautiful conversions right out of the gate because it's going to borrow from your 10 other clients that are already converting on it.
And it's already an understood behavior, meaning like the marketplace isn't like you're rebilling me 10% for no, it's already in. Like that's already one of the things. Again, our goal is to make Google super easy for you guys. So some of you are like, this is the first time you've ever learned about search at all. So you might be a little overwhelmed. As we get easy pages, especially, and a couple other things, it will be easy. And especially when you do your first client, you'd be like, oh, I'm really scared. Second, third, dude, you guys are going to be like printing money for the honeys. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be popping bottles, and that's what people do. I don't do that. Okay. Where's the best place to go for tutorial on how to set up GHL to track everything like you suggested earlier, his classes? Is the keyword approach equivalent to broad match, and should landing pages be hosted on client's site?
So great questions. To quickly answer that, so for those of you who are familiar with Google, you are familiar with match types. Match types are useless. Phrase match is basically broad match. Broad match is broad match, and exact match is the only one that you really got left at this point. And you don't really want to do exact match because broad match has gotten a lot smarter, especially now with the conversion portfolios, and that's where negative keywords come into play. And that's why the best practices is to only do 3 to 5 keywords, right? Because they're going to be 3 to 5 broad match keywords. That's how they're going to be set up when you launch through UpHex. That's best practice at this point, is to go with broad match keywords. And then you use negative keywords to sculpt the campaign into the right direction, plus conversions and all that. Jacob? Yes, you can also do what are called exact match. If you do any of for those of you who know how to do this on Google, how to do the actual exact match brackets or the phrase match quotation marks, those will pass through to the Google search campaign. So they will accept those other match types. Phrase match is basically useless. Don't even bother using phrase match for positive keywords. Negative keywords, different story.
Hey, buddy.
But
I love you, man. But you get real quick, so I got to stop you. I got to pull you out of them. I'm like, hey, your head's in the weeds. Let's get out of there. UpHex templates coming with keywords baked in. How many? What is your approach to doing those? Because I mean, last week you rolled out like 40 or 50 Google templates.
Yeah, so we
best
have we
practices.
run an API call out to get the most relevant keywords directly from Google for the templates, and then we pull those in, and then make sure that they got the search volume behind them, and then pop those bad boys into the template. So
UpHex for the win again, baby. Let's go. Okay, let's see here. Oh, it just popped up. How do we add tracking? Where was that? It just popped. Okay, how do we add conversion tracking on an existing website via UpHex?
So Bradley, is it next week or is it this week that the tracking codes is appearing for people?
Early next week.
Early next week. Okay, we committed. He committed. I got him to commit to a time frame, guys. All right.
Today's Friday. We don't release on a Friday.
I feel like
Yes.
I want to say, can you ask me, hey guys, it'll be available early next week. Oh my gosh, that felt good. Finally, I got to
So-
announce something without getting in trouble.
As it stands right now, you would need to go into your client's Google Ads account to get the tracking codes, and then you can put them wherever you need to put them. But early next week, those tracking codes will be available directly in UpHex, so you can just pull the tracking code and put it into their website. I personally would recommend using something called Google Tag Manager. Makes your life so much easier, but it's a little bit more advanced. But if
We'll show you how to do that.
go
We'll
with
show you
that.
how to do that in the classes.
Yep.
Okay.
There was hold on real quick. There was a question earlier that's mentioned about if the clients own their own website, should we take them over? If they suck like the options that we talked about, you should definitely create your own landing pages. Domain names don't matter unless you're advertising in the EU. That's the only caveat there. EU advertisers, you have to go through a business verification and prove that you actually own the business owns the domain. In those cases, it's just a couple of extra steps that you have to put a DNS record on the domain name. But other than that, domain names don't matter. Honestly, so Sam knows this, when we would run our ads, we would honestly create domain names, for instance, because we worked a lot with chiropractors. So it would be like spinaldecompressionsolutions.com, right? And we would have 10 clients using the same domain name. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't really matter when it comes to the Google Ads side of things.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. What happens if this is Igor. What happens if churn occurs and in 4 to 6 months landing page has gotten traction, but client no longer wants the service due to the budget constraints? Can you save that and pivot landing page onto another client, almost like a rank site? Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is again where rebilling comes into play really nice, because the campaigns will be on your Google Ad account. If you're using your own landing pages or easy pages here in the future, they're going to be on a domain name that your client has no access to. So now it's like, okay, Mr. Client, you want to churn, you're losing your landing page, you're losing your campaigns, you're losing your tracking phone numbers. I mean, it becomes a really painful experience to now say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, right? So you definitely would want to do stuff like that.
That you're going to have stickier clients once that that kind of stuff starts happening, which is nice. So would I be spending, Chandel says, so would I be spending double the ad spend if I create in UpHex and then I also have a search campaign running existing in Google? Is I'm guessing that existing is what you're saying.
Yeah, so you can definitely run with both. No issues on that. So yeah, you
would be spending double. Yes.
Yes, yeah, you would have to be doubling that that budget. I have been seeing a couple of questions here popping in about LSA. LSA is Performance Max, guys. So if your clients are running LSA campaigns, that's just a Performance Max campaign. So there's nothing special about
them. When did they roll that in?
They rolled that in, I want to say 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
Now if you're running through the Google My Business profile, they still call them LSAs, but what's actually running in the background is just a Performance Max campaign.
Yep. Okay, so as a new person to Google Ads platform, is it pretty easy to run the ads for a client and get them better results than they already are? Yeah, it's just different expectations, right? Jacob, you can speak to that better than I can. I mean, it's Facebook is just, we've made Facebook so stupid simple that.
Well, and it's a completely different type of lead that you're getting as well, right? So with a Facebook lead, on average 20 to 30% of the leads are going to actually do something, right? So you've got a huge chunk of leads that are going to just be in a follow-up realm or a warm-up realm. Google's completely different. When somebody is actively searching and has intent in their search terms, And that those, by the way, those are the search terms you want to be putting into your campaigns are intent-based search terms. You don't want to be doing keywords like, how do I get, what pills should I take for back pain, right? You want to be going for people looking actively for a chiropractor or for the service or whatever. But when you've got those high intent keywords, they're ready to buy, right? So your conversion rates off of those, assuming you've got a good client who actually picks up the phone or actually gets in contact with that lead, are typically north of 80%, right? So so like for instance, with a chiropractor, we knew if on a search campaign, if they got on the phone with that front desk, it was almost a 100% guarantee that they were going to book an appointment with that lead from Google, right? Yeah. The caveat was always, did the stupid front desk open up or pick up the phone, right? Like that's the only.
That is, so we made a big pivot in our churn once we started the proactive support, right? So in Facebook, I've talked about having those secret shopper leads that you put out and you're like, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? If they don't, you say, hey, you want us to help you do this? If they're not answering the phone the first time, you're like, hey, you just missed a customer. And just proactively reach out to them. Say, good news, your campaign is sending in phone calls. You've gotten 5 so far. Bad news is you have an 80% failure to answer the phone. And can we just, it's pretty simple, honestly. Okay. Ryan says, so to confirm, your recommendation is to not run these clients' ad accounts, but from your own MCC account.
That would be my recommendation, and not even just necessarily your own MCC account, all from the same singular Google ad account if you can do it. Now the caveat would be, and the caveat for this is if you're breaking UpHex's golden rule, which is pick a niche and stick to it and don't try to be broad. So the only caveat would be if you have multiple niches that you're doing ads for, you would give each niche its own ad account, because the goal is you're just trying to get that conversion portfolio to just be flooded with the type of customer that all of your other clients want as well, right? So that way it's all learning from it. So that's the best case. That being said, until rebilling comes out, it's going to be difficult to make that happen easily, because you got to bill your clients for the ad spend and all that. Rebilling will make that billing side of things a lot easier for you. But once rebilling comes out, absolutely, I would put them all into one Google ad account, so you're all sharing the same conversion portfolio, and you can start watching some magic happen.
And there's a behavioral difference in, for example, a Facebook ad account compared to a Google ad account, because the thing that we've all seen is, and we try, and we, as long as you set up a Facebook ad account properly, you go through all the right steps, even if you have something happen, it's easy to get it back if you, again, do the things right, get verified and all that kind of crap. The sensitivity to Google ad accounts is nowhere near what is happening in Facebook. Jacob, can you speak to that?
Oh yeah. So I was telling actually Sam this the other day, because he asked this question with rebilling. Actually, Sam and Bradley were asking this about, so if we do rebilling, I mean, are we putting people at risk of getting their ad accounts banned? You have to be you have to be going out of your way to get banned by Google. It is extremely difficult to get banned by Google. That would, like I said, so don't worry about that. You can totally go through and do all of that without any issue. The only caveat that I will put on this is, again, I feel for all of you people who may be in the EU. The EU, because you have to do a brand verification in there, there may be some nuance that you will have to do with the rebilling in terms of making it all hunky-dory. In everywhere else, though, doesn't matter, right? As long as the ad account that you're running the ads off of, you control the ad account, you control the billing, the credit card, which you will, and you control the domain names, which you do. It's all Google cares about, right? The person who's paying for the ads is in control of all of the assets, is basically all they care about. EU, there's a little bit of nuance to it, but in the end of the day, all that comes down to is, does the credit card that's getting charged, is it owned by the person who owns the ad account? As long as those two as long as those two boxes are checked, Google doesn't really care. As far as ad compliance issues, Google's really, really easy about giving you a second chance. And You know, if you do happen to put something that violates their terms of service, they're not going to shut down your ad account. They're just going to pause the one ad and say, hey, this is what you did wrong. That's the other nice part. They'll actually tell you, this is exactly the policy you broke. This is exactly what you did that was wrong. And here's our suggestion on how to fix it. And then you fix it, and then you run your ads again, right? So it's pretty difficult to get banned by Google.
So I'll take this to 11:30 my time, which is 4 more minutes. And I want 1 minute at the end to kind of do a quick summary. So we'll do 1 or 2 more questions. Does UpHex connect into our MCC then?
That would be more, it's going to connect, it will connect into your MCC. Yes. So you'll then be able to drop down, they'll have a drop down menu of all of your sub accounts in your MCC that you can then select between if you need to.
Will the niche home services pull into, you'll want niche specific, Daniel. Timing on rebilling. I think Bradley, did you say 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm hoping for 2 weeks.
Okay. I didn't say it. Wait, no, I did. 2 weeks, you guys, exactly 2 weeks from today, it's getting released.
We don't release on Fridays.
Let's see here. Will we be able to bring in existing campaigns into templates? Yes, we will. And it's coming to probably today. When's that coming?
We don't release on Fridays.
When do you think that'll be available, Bradley?
I'm hoping for that one next week, actually.
Okay. So yeah, good question. All right. So we got a couple minutes left here. Let me just do this, you guys. For all of you that are newer to this, thank you for coming. I think this is a great opportunity to get into, you get like adding these services into your agency will take it to another level. So long as you become skilled and educated. By the way, UpHex's job is to make it simple and technical free. That's what we want to do as much as possible. So we'll continue to build our product that way. But I am an older guy. I think anybody who does not want to gain any skills sucks. So please come to our classes. Please take the free courses that we will be putting in. Please become a better version of yourself. Please do not be a Me Too agency. Please do not be the person in the high level group or in any other groups that's asking, hey, what's the best offer for this or for that? Like, put in a little bit of work here. We are doing our very best to give you a hand up. I have owned an agency that did really well with Jacob, with Bradley. Okay. It did really well. It was really cool and fun to own. But as long as you're just staying on the surface of your business, you'll suck. So you need to commit to being better. Our job is to make things more simple and streamlined for you, but we can't necessarily make you as an entrepreneur better if you don't do anything yourself, right? Joshua Jones posted a screenshot of what he was able to do in a single month after he transitioned his existing agency from the like SMMA model to the UpHex model. And it is like the stripe chart is like this, and then UpHex, boom. I would love to take credit for all of that for all of that money, but I cannot, other than I streamlined. Okay. I built UpHex. I'm the developer. Okay. We built a tool that made all of those things that much easier. So we give you tools. We give you everything you need to know, but you got to come and be a part of our community. You got to come to the classes. When you're in our community, don't be negative. I'm starting to see more negative stuff and it pisses me off and I'm just kicking people out. There's zero room for it. I couldn't care less. If you don't want to be a real business owner, you're not Team UpHex. We build agencies. That's the only thing I want to do. I know there are people copying us right now. I couldn't care less. I do not care. I know exactly where I'm going. So did Jacob, so did Bradley. They're with me. We're together. We know where we're going. We know what we're building. Nobody else knows what we're building. They don't know. They haven't run agencies, right? We have run an agency. The reason that UpHex is the best, the reason Frank Kern uses UpHex, the reason Perry Belcher uses UpHex, the reason these guys trust our team to do this is because we've actually done it. We have actually done it. We're not just product builders. We have lived the business strategy, and that is what we will continue to do. So thank you for being a part of this. I'm incredibly excited for this. I think as you guys come in, you learn more about Google, continue to go into your audience, into your strategy with Facebook. That's going to be your low hanging fruit. That's going to be where you get those outcomes. But you can build your business in a very robust and simplified way. We can still keep it simple by adding in Google. All right. So with that, can I ask you guys a favor? One of two things. Either jump into the community and tell people how psyched you are about all this stuff. You can say how good looking Bradley is in person and how, you know, that would make him feel good. People don't tell him that enough. That, or go to Trustpilot, leave a review, something. Let us know that we're on the right track. It feels good. You know, at the end of the day, you never hear about all of the planes that landed, right? And sometimes it's nice to hear about a nice soft landing and that you're doing a good job. So thanks for coming, everybody. Well, I'll have this video uploaded to YouTube, potentially with, you know, those chapter things, whatever, later this afternoon. And say hello to your mother for me, and we'll talk to you guys later. You guys.